Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. First of all, nail check. I got them done yesterday and they look very pretty. I know it's a bit late into October, like we are on 17th today, but I want to share with you the books that I read in September, because I have been very busy settling alone in a new city. So I haven't really gotten time to read books or even enjoy books. I read 4 books. We are going to talk about those 4 books and then I will be moving to some other books that I really want to finish by the end of October or by the first week of November. Please God, please. The first book that I finished reading in July end and September is Cat Among the Pigeons by Agatha Christie, and this book is about this school. So it's a new session and the students are coming back. There are new students, and so the school is a all girls school, and they also have the housing for the students, like a hostel kind of situation, and the teachers here are different personalities. So in the beginning of this book we see the description of every teacher and how their personality varies from each other's perspectives. When the school session begins, they finally make this sports pavilion for the students to play. So this is a new addition to the school for this semester, and on the first night or probably the second night of the school session, there happens a murder in the sports pavilion, and everyone is shocked because it's one of their teachers, it's a games mistress, and she gets murdered. A few weeks after that murder, another one happens, and now the teachers, the students, and even the local police is concerned. So the investigation begins, but the investigation is done in such a hidden way that not many know about it, because they are trying to keep the reputation of the school intact. We have this girl, Julia Upjohn, and she's one of the students, and she has this feeling that she is going to be the next victim. So what she does is she writes a letter to the principal that she is going out for a day, and she goes to meet Hercule Poirot and says him about what is happening and what's wrong. So luckily Hercule Poirot agrees and he comes to the school, and then the investigation begins. So the part that I really loved about this book was how the mystery was formed. Like, I really thought it was the work of someone who really is like trying to be a serial killer kind of thing, but then it took a different turn. So this is the part that I kind of did not like. See, I am someone who likes a murder mystery when there is vengeance, like the murderer is someone close to them and they want them dead for a particular personal reason. But this book goes into the political aspect a little, like there are some jewels involved, and the jewels are from a very high level prince, and so somehow those jewels are brought to the school, and the person who brought it with them doesn't have any idea that the person has the jewels. So now there is this entire thing that has broken out, and like the opponent party people, like the gangsters and other people, they know about the jewels and they're trying to find it. So they're trying to everyone who comes in the way. That's the thing. Part that I liked was the plot twist. I really liked how I did not even imagine that person to be it, which is a very classic thing that Agatha does. But this book didn't give me that level of satisfaction that an Agatha Christie novel normally gives me. So with all that said, I will give this book a 4 star. Next physical book that I read was Angry God by L.G. Shane. Now this was a reread because I wanted to review this book in a good way, and I actually finished reading this book 1.5 years ago actually. That time I read it as an ebook, and so fast forward to this year, I won a giveaway for the first time in my life, literally for the first time in my life. I didn't even believe that I won it. So this is an enemies to lovers romance. It's a dark romance book. We have enemies to benefits, and they both are in the beginning 19-year-olds. So we don't have an age gap. Plus points. So we have Vaughn and then we have Lenora. So they both first meet when they were little kids, and from the beginning only they both hate each other. Like Lenora hates Vaughn, but Vaughn is trying to be this heartless version of himself because that's the only way he can stop others from hurting him more. So he has this very dark past that I'm not going into detail, but he has this very dark past, and that has somehow made him a heartless prince. Then enters Lenora, and Lenora enters like a storm in his life, and he has no idea what he will do with these feelings that he has for her. So he starts, not, I won't say it's a very ruthless level of bullying. I'll say it's kind of this thing where he only picks on her. But then when someone else tries to do that, he is protecting. Because he really just wants to be the only one who is bothering Lenora always. And Lenora is just getting mad and mad. But she also has this attraction for him. So we have that dark romance aspect here. Now, I hate dark romance. I can't manage the amount of violence that goes in the romance. But this book, the plot of this book was what kept me hooked in. Even if the dark romance part made me a little bit uncomfortable. But to anyone who reads dark romances, this one will be great book. Both of them again meet each other when they were 19-year-olds or 20ish. So now they both are competing for the same position at Lenora's father's museum, I guess. So they both are artists. He is a sculptor and she has also a thing for art. So they both compete, and Vaughn basically won the thing. So he gets the job and she becomes his assistant. So Vaughn says that you can be my assistant. I won't bother you. You don't have to assist me in anything. You can continue doing your work. But if you be my assistant, then nobody will poke at you. So that's how the thing goes. And through that, the enemies with benefits thing starts. A little bit of violence, yeah. So Vaughn really wants to kill this person. And that part is something that he is being tormented with. So when he finally decides that he will be killing the person, he has finally made the decision to ruin this one person who has always forever ruined his life. He decides that he will move away from Lenora, because in no way Lenora would want to be with someone who has done violence of that level. So this is the part, this is almost in the end, and that's when he writes her a letter, like a parting letter. And I kid you not, every time I read that letter, I cry. That being said, and this book being a 5 out of 5 for me, and this is a spoiler alert situation, so I really want to read the letter to you guys. I do want to read the poetic aspects of the letter. So this is the letter. It starts from here and continues to this page, and then this entire page, and here it ends. Len, the first time I saw you, you were reading a book, your back pressed against the fountain. It was an impactful moment in my life. Not because you were pretty, but because I vividly remember being appalled by the cover. It was a fantasy book. As such, the cover was full of colors, silhouettes, and faces. The composition was all wrong. I remember looking at it and scowling. It offended me on a personal level. I think that was the moment I realized I wanted to create symmetric, beautiful things. The moment I found out I was going to be an artist like my mom. Then I looked up and saw your face, and again it wasn't symmetric. I hope you don't mind. That's written in the bracket. Your eyes were huge, the rest of you small, which gave you an almost infant look. Your nose was sharp, your lips thin. Your blonde hair twisted in curls that were not perfect or carefully brushed. Yet somehow, you were more beautiful than any beautiful girl I had ever seen in my entire life. I would later stumble across a line from Edgar Allan Poe that made sense of it all. He said, "There's no exquisite beauty without some sort of strangeness in the proportions." That explained why I had to talk to you, even though it wasn't in my nature to speak to someone when completely unprovoked. I approached you, casting a shadow over your face, blocking the sun. I remember the moment you looked up and stared at me, because once you held my gaze, I couldn't look away. It wasn't a good or exciting feeling, it was terrifying. I gave you a brownie because I needed to do something, but when it came down to eating my part of it, I couldn't do it. I was too nervous to eat. I always wondered where you were, if we would meet again, and as crazy as it sounds, it always felt like we might. You never came until you did, until you showed up at my school's senior year. I would be lying if I said I wasn't surprised when you didn't move with Poppy and Edgar. Poppy is Lenora's sister and Edgar is her best friend. I took it as a personal offense. Was I not good enough? Were you disgusted with me? By me? You were pure, beautiful, talented, and carefully tucked in your own rich world of art, books, and music. I was torn, miles away, in a rich beach town I hated, a kid who had seen and felt way more than he should have. A part of me wanted our worlds to collide, so I could burst yours and tear it to pieces, and another wished we would never see each other again. And then you came, defiant, infuriating, and completely out of my control. You stirred me to savagery at a time when nothing could move me at all. You must understand, Len, that hate is nature's most flawless drive. It is infinitely renewable, reusable, and fuels people far better than love. Think about the number of wars that started because of hate and the number that started because of love. 1. There was one war in the history of the world to start upon the legs of love. It was the Trojan War, and it was Greek mythology. Which brings us right back to zero. That's the logic I worked with, and I can't swear. Did it do the trick? I hated you because I had to feel something for you, and the opposite of hate was out of the question. Not on the goddamn table. Your face alone made me feel defanged, so I had to get creative, to bite harder. We were an unfinished business, personal and always walking the tightrope between love and hate. But we were always something, Len. We will always be something. You might move on and marry someone else, have his children, and get your happily ever after. But you will never be completely done with me. And that's the small chunk of mirth I allow myself. That's my half of the brownie. That's my one perfect summer moment in the south of France, watching the face of the girl I will love forever for the very first time. Because Lenora Astalis, this is love. It's always been love. Love with many masquerade masks, twisted turns, and ugly truths. I don't know where I will go from here, but I will be wishing you were there. I wish I could get the girl. Because Len, you are her. You are that girl, my safe place, my asymmetric happiness, my Edgar Allan Poe poem. You are my Smiths and my favorite fantasy book, my brownie and summer vacations in lush places. There will never be anyone else like you, and that's exactly why you deserve someone better than me. Now you explain me why I can't cry up after reading this, because I did cry now. I don't know. Oh my god. 5 out of 5 must read. If you are a dark romance girly, then you should read it. And if you are not, then go with precaution, because I myself was a bit by it, because I'm not into dark romance, but worth the pain. The next 2 books that I read within this month are both ebooks, and they both were ARC. The first ARC ebook that I read was On the Road to Ruin by Emily Tudor. And first of all, let me say I love Emily Tudor's every book. I have been following her since she started writing her first novel. And I love the universes she creates. She has this way of putting mental health issues into her books, and I relate to most of them on personal level. So this book is about Tiegan and Dominic. So Dominic is Tiegan's brother's best friend, and they both somehow hate each other. Not on that vengeful level, but they just don't talk. So Tiagen, or Tiags we call her, has a crush on Dominic for ages, but she never told him about it. So now she has broken off her engagement with her fiance, who is toxic, and is back in town, but she doesn't really want to involve her family into it. Like, she doesn't want them to know that she has left her job, left her boyfriend, and has come back, because they will only try to take care of her or like pity her. So she goes to Dominic's house and like wants him to give her some space to live for few days, and then she will find something and go away. So Dominic is like, fine, whatever. So they stay for a few days, and then suddenly there is this business meeting that Dominic has to attend, family business, and he has to go on a road trip to few places for the meetings. So Tiags is like concerned because she doesn't really want to stay alone. Also, she has to go back to her ex-boyfriend's place to collect her things. So they go on this road trip together. And while on this road trip, they decide to do something together. You know what I mean. And they soon realize that it is more than the heat. And they are very mature about talking, which I love, because when some people use the friends with benefit situation and then don't talk at all about the feelings, it makes me mad. Anyways, so they talk about it and they decide that yes, they both like each other and they want to see how this goes. That's one part. Now the second part is about Tiag's brother, who has expired, who has offed himself, and she has been bothered by it for forever. Like, from the day he committed it till now, she can never forget about her brother, and she just calls his number once in a while, and you know how the number rings and it goes to voicemail, so he can always hear her brother's voice again and again. Like, that's how she is. So we have that aspect, and that is something I felt, because moving on from someone so close to you who is not anymore in this world is hectic. Only source of solace is her brother's music playlists that he has created for her. So it is that emotional sense, and we have the music through emotions, which is very beautiful. Overall, this book, all as usual, gets a 5 out of 5, and I really recommend reading her books, all of her books, because she writes such beautiful romances. The next and final book that I read was Ink and Ashes by Alexandra Lee, and in this book we have a journalist. The female protagonist is a journalist and the male protagonist is a firefighter of this small town. So we have a small town romance. Due to some false accusations, her previous job in the big city kicks her out, and she is like ruined because no other company was taking her, because everyone believed the false accusations. So she has come back to this small town. Like, she just goes online and searches for small towns, and she finds this town, and she realizes there has been a lot higher level of forest fires in this town than it should be. So she really wants to investigate that, and she goes to this town. Now, not everyone is welcoming about her, because she is a big town girl and she is in this small town and she is stirring things up, and everyone in this small town are very close knit, so they really don't want to blame each other for the fires, and that's why they are trying to kick her out. And we have the male protagonist, and he also kind of hates her for it in the beginning, but then slowly, through her confidence, through the way she is actually trying to solve it, and is bringing in clues that the firefighters have missed, and they are like shocked, oh my god, this is actually happening. So he starts to believe her, and they start working together. This is the mystery part of it. So I love romance with mystery in it, like some sort of detective kind of thing, and the plot twist was insane. Normally such books have a very low level of mystery, and in most cases I can guess it, because the main point of the book is romance and not the mystery. But Miss Alexandra has very perfectly used the mystery, and the plot twist has had been insane for a romance book. like not that level insane like it is in mystery books or thriller books, but it was insane and I really enjoyed it. And the romance is very steamy, like a firefighter. What? I gave it a 4.5 I guess on Instagram. I don't remember, but 4.5 to 5, no less than that. Now let's talk about my October/November hopefuls, because I am really not hopeful that I will be able to finish these books by the end of October. So we have October/November hopefuls. The first book that I want to talk about is The Wall. Ignore that on the cover. Something had happened. I was traveling with this book and I am clumsy as heck, just so you know. That's the plot. So this book is by Marlene Haushofer. I came across this book through Melissa. She is on YouTube as Melissa, and on Instagram she is as the Post Office Girl, and she gives great recommendations for these kind of books. So I always go to her whenever I need to read something that is not romance or thriller or detective. So this is one of the books she recommended. This book is about this woman, and she takes this holiday to this Austrian mountains, spending a few days with her cousin and his wife in their hunting lodge. One night in the evening, the couple, like her cousin and her cousin's wife, they both go to the nearby village to enjoy the night, and she just keeps the door open, doesn't lock it, and falls asleep. The next morning when she wakes up, she realizes that the door is still unlocked and that they both haven't really returned home. So she gets a bit concerned because her cousin's health is not that good and she thinks something has happened. So she sets off to the nearby village to come contact them, because there is no such mobile communication kind of thing in this area. So while she's walking, she passes this narrow path which leads to the village, and suddenly she bangs with a wall. Basically, it's an invisible wall, and it has completely detached herself from the entire world, like herself and the valley. So the wall runs across the entire valley, and she has no idea how long it runs, but it runs across the entire valley, and she is just detached from the world. So she is concerned, like what's happening, and like when will this thing go away. So that's where the story begins. It's about how a human changes in isolation and her behaviors, how she is surviving it, what are the things that she does, and how slowly we as humans realize that in isolation we don't need the things that we think we will need. So I actually started reading it, and I am currently on page 54. It's a very interesting read, but the only thing is it's a very slow read. There are no chapters, it's just an entire essay kind of thing. So sometimes I just get a bit lost and bored because there is no end to one part. So I have to stop reading and then read later. So next book that I want to read is Agatha Christie's After the Funeral. This was gifted to me on my birthday, and I want to read it because Agatha Christie. So the blurb is something that is very interesting. So in this, there is this wealthy man and he dies, and the relatives like arrange the funeral, but one of his close people, so someone thinks that his death is not natural, and the family lawyer is called, I guess. So the family lawyer calls Hercule Poirot, and that is the case. So I have no idea what's going to happen. Not much is written here, but the thing that I really found interesting about the blurb is, if there is one thing better than an Agatha Christie without Poirot, it is an Agatha Christie with Poirot. After the Funeral shows this happy partnership at its unbeatable best, which is true. Now we have Book Thief. This has been on my shelf for over 2 years now, and every time I try to read this book, something comes in between, or I get bored, or I get lost, or I get into a reading slump. So I am diligently trying to read this book. I have actually started reading it, and I am currently on page 47. So this book is about this young girl, and the story is told from the perspective of death. So death, like a person is personified as death, and he sees this girl who is a book thief, and he is basically telling the story of this girl and how she has become the book thief. Right now nothing extremely good or something plot twist has happened, but I'm really enjoying the aspect how death describes certain human activities. I don't know why I never started reading this book, because maybe I did not understand the poetic kind of aspect of this book, but some of the things are really really good. As far as I can understand, this is based in Germany, because during the Nazi era, and so there are many parts in this book where it is described as a Nazi. A girl, an accordionist, some fanatical Germans, a Jewish fist fighter, and quite a lot of thievery. So that's it. During the World War, I guess this is based. I have no idea. There are not many mentions of it, but we do see the Nazi and the Germans, that sort of thing. So I believe it is during the World War situation. The next book that is also very thick and I want to finish and read is this book. It's Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. I got this book from a mystery box that I ordered a year or 2 years ago, and I never really got around to read this book, but the blurb was very interesting. At that time I really thought I need to read this book, but then I forgot about it. So now I really want to. So sometimes I whisper it over to myself. Murderous, murderous. It rustles like a taffeta skirt along the floor. Grace marks, female fiend, femme fatale, or weak and unwilling victim. Around the true story of one of the most enigmatic and notorious women of the 1840s, Margaret Atwood has created an extraordinarily potent tale of sexuality, cruelty, and mystery. Very interesting, actually. I think I at first thought, like, I am still thinking it's about a murderess, like someone, a woman's killer. And if that is it, I am very interested, Miss Ma'am. The 4 books that I really want to read. Other than that, I do have some ARC reviews, but I want to read these 4 books at least by November 1st week. Fingers crossed. So that is it for today, and I will be back with another exciting video. Till then, happy reading, hydrate yourself, correct? And comment down below what you're currently reading and what your October hopeful is.